These are not Reddit stories, these are real life stories submitted by you guys. The first one is coming in from Aubrey, but it's spelled like Abry. One time there was some crazy dude that stalked me, and this is a story of how I found out about that. I feel like it's important that the town I lived in at the time is a small college town that heavily relies on party culture and drinking. There are a lot of bars on campus, but outside of the college activities, there isn't really anything to do to encourage the community, so a lot of people default to drinking. I would say that half of the population is temporary at any given time because of how large the student body is. At the time, I was 32 female, and it all started when I waited for the bus by a gas station right beside my house. It was right before Christmas and it was cold and rainy in a tiny town, Ohio. This guy pulled up and offered me a ride. I declined, but he insisted, opening his door and talking to me like we were besties. He seemed kind and caring, and he had really good conversation skills. He seemed so normal. I'm awkward and shy, but I am pretty open to making random friendlies. I've met some of the coolest people on a whim, and some of my favorite memories are from strangers that I just happened to meet. Once I met two amazing people who were trying to explore a famous-ish abandoned building. I just happened to be there, and they just happened to ask me if I knew how to get in, and we were together all day. People I've met walking to stores, going on hikes, or just hopping into games and activities. I love brief random encounters. Anyways, I hopped in his car and we were off. That's terrifying to me. I was so caught up in the conversation that I didn't immediately tell him where I was going, but he started driving in the right direction. I thought it was a bit weird, but I didn't think much of it because I had just woken up and I was still a little groggy. He makes another correct turn. I still haven't told him where I'm going or why, but he knows where I need to go, and in that moment, I knew I was probably in danger. Through a brief conversation, I found out that he knew my name and how to spell it. My name is so close to so many names and people don't pronounce it right. I probably didn't. Which apartment building I lived in, where and when I worked, and why I was catching the bus. Now, what he doesn't know is that when I'm threatened, I become the bigger problem, or I flee immediately. I am well seasoned by danger, and I have more patience dealing with weird and scary dudes than I ever really need. This guy was me-sized, and I immediately turned hostile. At this point, we are about 1/3 of the way there. I kept my cool, but he also started joking about how he can skip work today, and I can just go and hang out with him. I lied. I came up with some elaborate BS about how my mom works there too on the night shift, and if I'm not there, she will legitimately call our family friend who lives on the lower shelf of apartments and send her up to bother me and being irresponsible. I did work with a woman who lived on the lower shelf, but I did not work with my mom, and she didn't know my coworker at all. I'm on fire inside at this point. I'm hot, I'm nervous, I'm angry, and I start plotting violence because what do you mean I have to improv for my life because some weird little man decided to fixate on me? I figured that if the worst happens, I can grab the wheel or maybe jump out or something, but I need to wait until we are closer to town to people who can help me if I hurt myself. And what if the door is locked? 2/3 of the way there, we're getting closer to the 30-mile-per-hour part of town. He has started to understand that he probably can't fully kidnap me because I have this elaborate system of familial accountability if I skip work, and we start making plans for the future. I obviously had no intention of seeing this person mutually ever again, but I need to move the conversation along somehow so he's not saying, just skip it, just come with me and skip work, it'll be fun. As we turned onto the road where the speed limit drops, I started to feel a little better. We are now close enough that I can walk to work with plenty of people around, and there are opportunities to get out safely, but it all starts sinking in and I start shaking. I technically made it to work fine. He didn't touch me or do anything aggressive. He didn't really say anything way out of bounds, but he knew so many details he really shouldn't have. And at that time, I don't know how absolutely terrifying that was. As soon as I got out of his car, I walked up to the employee smoker circle where my friend was, sat down and said, "I think I almost died. I think in another reality, that man took my life." Terrifying. Did you ever find out more? Like, was he a complete random? Does he come into your work? Does he know someone in your family? Like, I need to know more because I wouldn't sleep at night. I got to know. And I would have to move and I'd have to change careers. Like, put me in the witness protection program. What do you mean? I was almost a witness to my own kidnapping. Girl, I love that you give people in this world a chance and you love meeting strangers and having fun, but the sad part is I don't think we live in a world where we can always do that. And that's not on you. That's on the messed up people in this world. The next story wants to be left anonymous. Girl, you will not believe what my ex did to me. You know what? I probably will. I'm a petty woman and I needed to get some petty revenge on my stupid ex after what he pulled. Fake names are being used. You can call me Eva. I, 34 female, was living with my then boyfriend Frank, 38 male, in a 3-bedroom apartment in downtown Los Angeles. As you can expect, it was quite an eventful place to live because it's Hollywood. For some background, this took place back in 2013 while I was in LA trying to pursue a career in acting. Of course, I wanted to get on Disney or Nickelodeon because if you were my age, you ought to know both of them were king back in the day. Oh my God, yeah. Even from a small town in Ontario, that was the dream. Disney or Nickelodeon will find me. Please. They ain't even looking, girl. I grew up listening to High School Musical and Big Time Rush, and it got me into a gig of wanting to be involved in acting. Throughout my childhood, both me and my mother would act in local theater musicals and plays. I loved it. I had this burning desire to be on stage because it made me feel like I could fully enjoy myself. I did this all through my school years and into adulthood. That is why I moved out to Los Angeles to pursue an acting career. I moved out there in 2009. I moved into a small studio apartment and lived there for 2 years. I did manage to get some auditions for some small projects and commercials and local plays in the theater. I was enjoying it. And then I met Frank. He came to one of my musicals that I was performing in that week. It turns out his younger sister was playing one of the main characters. After some time getting to know each other at the after party and exchanging messages for a few weeks, he asked me out. I gladly accepted and we were together for 2 years. I genuinely thought he was the one because he always encouraged me to follow my dreams and supported me in finding a career in this industry. But then I discovered Frank was a two-faced liar because he dumped me, literally. He literally dumped me outside on the curb by pushing me out of his car like when you see it in those romance movies. Horror movies or romance movies? For context, we were both living together at this time and I was scheduled for a job interview to be a Disney princess for Disneyland. This was a dream job and I was excited and super focused on making sure I looked my best and fully prepared to nail the audition that I had dreamed about for so long. The interview was scheduled for 11 a.m. that morning, which was on a Friday, and Frank told me that he would drive me over there. I should have seen this red flag when it appeared because while we were driving, Frank started going on about how unrealistic my dreams seemed to be. This was completely different from the Frank that I had known since we started dating. The acting industry is not easy to get into, but I had worked tirelessly to make it, and here I was with a chance to make it into Disneyland. Frank was being harsh and telling me, if this doesn't work, you should just give up and find something else. Just so you know, this was my ex. He always called my dreams a hobby and asked me on the constant when I was going to give up that hobby. Ignore him. This completely caught me by surprise because I was shocked that my boyfriend would talk down to me like this, especially after he'd always been supporting me for so long and was saying this while driving me to the audition. I was confused and I didn't know what to say. Here's where everything went downhill. I told Frank that no matter what happens, I wasn't going to stop pursuing this job. At this point, we are literally down the street from the entrance to Disneyland by this point. After some more arguing with Frank about the situation, he stopped the car and said, "I can't do this anymore. Get out." I looked at him with utter disbelief. "I beg your pardon?" Frank said that he was done being with someone who was living in a fantasy and that he wasn't going to support me anymore because he felt that I was wasting my time. I was shocked and didn't understand where all of this was coming from. He started yelling and telling me to get out of the car, and I did so in a hurry because I didn't want to hear him screaming. He left me alone on the side of the road just a short way down from the entrance to Disneyland. I admit I was fighting back tears at this point because my brain was having trouble processing what all had just transpired. Here I was at the most magical place on earth, and I had just dealt with a huge amount of heartbreak. I'm not kidding when I say this. I sprinted for almost half a mile, I'm sure, from where I was to the office where my audition was to be held. It turns out I was a few minutes late, and the manager said that he didn't want to hear from me again. I tried explaining everything about what had happened beforehand, but he gave me the cold shoulder. That was it for me. My dream job was gone in an instant. There I was, all alone and left to deal with what was left of my dream job. I couldn't stop hearing Frank's words repeating in my head. I was filled with rage and tears. I tried calling Frank, telling him to come back, but all I got was, "Call one of your princess friends. I'm sure they'll help you. Also, we're over. I'm packing your stuff and putting it on the front porch." What an absolute a-hole move from Frank, to say the least, girl. I couldn't believe what I just heard. I had absolutely no idea what was going on or why Frank had all of a sudden become so belittling and nasty towards me. You want to know what I think it was? Because you were going to possibly be successful. And that's intimidating for some people. Because you did get an audition to a dream job, and maybe the thought of you actually doing something successful in that career path, I think he was intimidated by it. He was never like this towards me before. I guess maybe he didn't want to share how he was really feeling with me until it boiled over, but I'll never know. If you're still wondering, I called my best friend and told her everything that happened, and she drove almost an hour to come and get me. I was super thankful for her. It was a complete nightmare of a scenario because not only did I lose my chance at landing my dream job, I lost my boyfriend out of the blue, and I don't even know why. She drove me back to our old apartment where I picked up my things and left. She was kind enough to let me stay with her for a few weeks until I settled into a new apartment. Today, in 2026, I'm happy to announce that I'm currently working as a playwright for a local musical company in Minnesota where I live now. I'm so proud of you, I just gotta say. To anyone chasing a dream, but this one, hits closer to home because I also am chasing the dream of acting, I'm just so proud of you. I really am. It's not easy to chase this dream, especially for a long time when you're in your 30s. A lot of people will doubt it. They will say it's, not a stable industry, because it isn't. It's a very tough one. And I really applaud you for continuing on the path. And now you're still working in that field and you're happy, and it makes me happy. The next story is also anonymous. I found out my girlfriend of 3 years has been sneaking around and seeing her coworker for months. This has completely flipped my world upside down because I thought we were in a very good, serious stage of our relationship where we had begun discussing marriage. I thought she was the one, and I was wrong. I'll provide background information as to how I found out. Fake names are being used. This took place a few months ago, so it's still very fresh and juicy for you all. I, 27 male, have been with my girlfriend, let's call her Nora, 25 female, for a little over 3 years. We moved in together last year, and I genuinely thought that we were heading towards something real. Marriage was on my mind. Nora was everything you could look for in a woman. She was always there for me when I needed someone to talk to. I'm a guy who doesn't like to be vulnerable, but she always let me open up about things that have hurt me, and she always gave me some guidance and comfort when I really needed it. That's the hardest thing when it comes to this because I feel like I have been played. Now let's get to the part you are all here for. For context, Nora worked in an office for a retail chain. Her job requires her to work in the office at least 3 days a week and sometimes would require overtime. Or so I thought she was working overtime. About 3 months ago, I noticed she started being weird with her phone. She never used to care if I saw her screen, but suddenly she was turning it face down every time she set it on the table. I told myself I was overthinking it. Well, my gut was indeed right. A few days later, she left her laptop open on the kitchen counter while she went to go take a shower. I know I probably should not have looked, but something in my gut told me to. I found messages between her and a guy from her office going back 5 months. They were not just flirting. They had been meeting up at his place on days that she told me she was working late. The worst part is reading how she talked about me to to him. She called me boring and said that I was just comfortable. Quote, he's just my side piece that I'm keeping wrapped around me until I'm ready to move in with you. What the actual F did I just read? My blood pressure skyrocketed and I honestly felt like I was going to have a stroke. 5 months of lying to my face every single time while I was planning a future with her. As you can expect, my anger went through the roof. I confronted Nora when she got out of the shower and got dressed. I brought her over to where her tablet was and I pointed out all the messages between her and her coworker. It's not what it looks like. Yeah, I've heard that a million times before from cheaters. I wasn't having it. The next few minutes involved us exchanging colorful language that I can't write here, and Nora tried gaslighting me as if I somehow made her cheat. Classic. The classic blame game of how you made them cheat. I probably shouldn't have done this, but I absolutely went crazy. I grabbed her laptop and I smashed it repeatedly with a hammer until it was in a million pieces. I felt that was the least I could do. She started fake crying and trying to say that it didn't mean anything. Cheating is never a mistake. You made the conscious decision to cheat. There's no one to blame but you. Had I not discovered this, she would have kept doing this for God knows how long. I told Nora that we were over and that I was moving out immediately. I packed my bags while fending off Nora's attempts at preventing me from leaving. She tried grabbing me and blocking the door to leave, but I was not holding back. I pushed her off of me and got out to my car and I drove away. I have been staying at my buddy's place since then. I feel like the last 3 years were a lie. I keep replaying every time she said that she was working late and wondering how I did not see it. If you can't stay loyal, stay single. You said it best, my friend. This is so eerily similar to my story. Truly, it's like you almost repeated my own experience, to be honest. So many similarities, and I don't wish it upon anybody. So sorry that happened to you. It's hydration station time. All aboard. Drink your water today. You need it. Cheers. Girl has been basking in the morning sun. She's just been laying here with her eyes half closed while the sun rises. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I talking about you and embarrassing you? You're just so cute. Say hi. Oh, I wish you could talk. Next story is coming in from Samantha. Was I overreacting? Ooh, I love this game because I'm a dramatic person and I probably overreact all the time. I, 24 female, was dating a 31 male boyfriend at the time. We were invited to a wedding pre-gathering for one of his best friends, and it was a group of about 12 of us in one big house before the happy couple got married a few days later. We had separate rooms and there was a lot of space. We ended up choosing the bedroom in the back of the house. Anyway, the days were filled with fun activities and a lot of drinking. We had a pretty great time with everyone there. One of the days, we all went out to the backyard and had some pool time and played some fun games. Towards the end of the night, we were all gathered inside and sat around drinking and talking. I had to use the bathroom and went to my room where I had all of my things. When I walked out, one of the guys, who was the fiance of one of the bridesmaids, was standing inside of my room. It was awkward and I asked him why he was in my room. He said he was looking for a vape, which I thought was odd because he could have just asked my boyfriend to get it or waited until I was out. I got nervous and I started asking him about his fiance, hoping to steer the conversation away from any ill intentions. A reminder that we are both in our bathing suits, which, you know, bikinis are practically a bra and underwear. Well, the ones I wear anyway. As I was asking the question, my boyfriend walks in and angrily asks what is going on. The guy in my room says he was getting the vape and notices my boyfriend is angry and walks out. My boyfriend then turns to me and asks what I was doing in here with him when he knew I was going to use the bathroom. He got upset and accused me of cheating and he left the room. I was upset because instead of asking me if I was okay or uncomfortable, his first thought was, "You're cheating." It was our room and someone came in while I was in the bathroom. The man had no business being in our room, but my boyfriend was angry with me. He ended up walking out and leaving me in the room while he told everyone what he found. The bridesmaid of the guy who went in my room looked so sad and I felt terrible. After that, the wedding went on and it was fine, but that situation left a horrible taste in my mouth and it eventually ended our relationship. Some of my friends say I overreacted and it did look bad. So did I overreact? Overreact to what? What did you even react to?
What do you mean?
If I walked out of my bedroom that had a bathroom and I'm in a bikini and there's a guy in there, like, I don't know, yeah. And we're both in bikinis and then your partner walks in, like, super uncomfortable. Sure, could look weird. But I'm not even, when did you react? Have I missed the part where you've reacted? Because your boyfriend overreacted, in my opinion. I'm like trying to put myself in that position. You walk in, sure, you're kind of like, what's going on in here? What's happening? For you to just accuse your partner and then like ultimately end the relationship, that's crazy. All I did was go to the bathroom. Next story wants to be anonymous. So back in 2022, I started dating a man, 26. I was 25 then. Some context, this was his first real relationship and I had only had one serious relationship before. For over 2 months, we hung out often. It seemed pretty wonderful until I went to meet his parents and I found out they didn't even know I existed. My friends and parents knew about him. Also, keep in mind, he lived less than 5 minutes away from his parents. He came from money and it showed. He is probably the least spoiled of his siblings. I once saw his grown sister literally stomp her foot, but still. We dated for 2.5 years. Wait, were you dating for 2.5 years and his parents didn't know? Or is that just a different statement? There were red flags, big time. Example, he went to Mexico with his family about 6 months in, and when he returned, he didn't even seem excited to see me, much less hug or kiss me. This trip was planned before we started dating. My birthday was right before this. He took me out for dinner. Later, he told me it was a last minute idea and hadn't wanted to buy me anything because he was thinking of breaking up with me. After we broke up, he told me he had thought of breaking up with me multiple times and then named all of those times. Thanks for the information. Yeah, that stuck with me for a good long while. One of my friends got married about 1.5 years in, a destination wedding, but still in the USA. I told him again and again that we needed to book flights. By the time he finally sat down with me, they were 3 times the price. On our first day, I wanted to go explore after checking in, and he just wanted to sleep. I will give him that he worked 12-hour shifts. However, taking the day off before was an option, but not one that he was willing to do. At the wedding, we only danced together once. Overall, I was very disappointed, but so incredibly happy to see my friend get married. When it came to our 2-year anniversary, I had planned a trip to a nearby camping area with small cabins and some activities. I'm sorry, I have to ask this. So when he broke up with you and all that, you stayed with him? Like you guys got back together after he broke up with you and said all the times he was gonna break up with you? Or was that a different statement and you were referring to the breakup in the end of this story? Either way, continue. I had asked for his input and I was met with, you know what we like, so I planned it. We made it halfway down to the cabins when he blew up at me saying, I don't even want to be here with you. That hurt. I had given him a handmade scrapbook and photo album of our 2 years together that took nearly 2 weeks to make. I got nothing. Not even a card, not even an apology. Finally, it came to our breakup. In summer, it was usually better. He was a big gamer and on top of being a night shifter, so honestly, tearing him away from a screen was impossible. But during the summer, I could get him on a boat or to go fishing or even a walk. But he also was horrible about sleeping. He would sleep 12 plus hours on his days off, even if we had plans. The straw that broke the camel's back, I had worked all day and I came home to him still asleep. I made dinner for both of us and I checked in on him to find him on his phone. When I told him what I made and we started talking, he went back to being on his phone. He had asked about my work day. I was being bullied at my job, which was a new and horrible experience for me, and I felt very dismissed. So I communicated this. His reaction was to lay down and put a pillow over his head, then stand up, pack a bag, and leave after a short argument where he shut down. I tried calling his parents, as they had always been kind to me, and I was incredibly worried since he was not answering his phone. Neither of them picked up. He went to their house and didn't come home or answer my calls or messages all day or the next day. Keep in mind, I was not spamming him. I was letting him cool off, but I did send 1 or 2 the next day just saying, "We both handled that poorly and we need to talk. I hope you are okay." When I got home from work the next day, his mother broke up with me. That has to be a joke. I wouldn't even allow it. I wouldn't even stay in that conversation if someone's mom started breaking up with me. No chance. She began lecturing me about how he never wanted to get married, which is not true. He said he was open, never wanted kids, and said that I was forcing him into things. I was so taken aback and hurt. I am also very cautious about marriage, though I like the idea, and kids are likely not in my future anymore in any capacity. I will not claim that I was innocent. We needed to break up. The relationship had become toxic. I had been planning on moving out that weekend because of his reaction. I absolutely wanted a break, but his mother acting like that, him standing there silently, and all of my stuff piled up on the floor in the front room, that's when I broke. I was forced to move back into my apartment. Thank God I still had it that night. Joss, I won't tell you everything that I went through the last 2 years. It was rough. Anxiety, depression, relapse into self-harm. No, I will not allow that. Please, 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 please. No. However, the however better be some positivity. However, I will tell you this. 2 months after the breakup, I took all the points I had saved up and I went to Mexico by myself. Oh, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. I stayed in a 5-star beachside resort for 5 days, cried, explored, relaxed, and had the time of my effing life. I only spent $200. I also pushed myself to pursue my dreams. I am now a paid actress. I am signed with a manager. I have been in multiple movies, voiceover projects, and I'm working my butt off to keep going. Girl, that is what I want to hear. I'm so proud of you. You pushed through, you kept going, and it's just the beginning. Just the beginning. A blessing in disguise. I have a feeling the best is yet to come for you. I really do. I'll see you guys in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Bye.